Hey everybody, Kim here, and I've got my top 5. Today it is a category that I created because I was inspired by one particular game that is my number 1. That game has a 50-50 split of card components and dice components. So my top 5 is card and dice games. That means that my games are meaty, they're hearty, they are about an hour long, maybe longer, and they have an equal balance of dice components and card components. And they use those particular elements in very unique and interesting ways. To get us started, my number 5, Space Base. In Space Base, you have a station in front of you. Every player has their own mat that has 12 spots for these skinny little cards. Each one of those cards has a benefit or a bonus on it. The cards also have dual purpose. When they are in your space station, they act as cards you can earn on your turn, like the bonuses. But once you upgrade your ships with cards that are in the display area that everyone has access to, you replace one of your existing ships of your 12. You then flip it over and you tuck it underneath the number where it used to be in that 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to 12 slots. And now it becomes a resource that you can possibly earn on somebody else's turn. So as the game continues and you upgrade your ships to better bonuses when it's your turn, you're also getting better options for when it's somebody else's turn. What do you do on your turn? You roll the 2 6-sided dice and then you get to select either the combination of the dice together or each dice separately, and you get those bonuses on your space base. Then you purchase a ship and then the dice pass and it's somebody else's turn. The rounds are really fast, it's fun. The interaction between the dice rolling, how you use the dice or allocate your dice, and then the ship upgrading with the cards having these multi-purpose function. Really smart, really savvy. This game really captures the balance of that card and dice element very well, and I think with that dual purpose on the cards, just knocks it right into my top 5. Seasons. Seasons made my list because it has these amazing dice. And I think, just like in my last game, the cards had dual purpose. The dice are just really diverse and interesting and unique. So you have these chunky dice. They are not all the same. They do not depict the same bonuses that you're going to get and the actions that you're going to be able to take. And so that uniqueness of the dice as a major element to this game is so interesting and works really, really well. So in seasons, you've got 4 seasons, and each season there is an abundance of a particular element. And then when it's out of season, you're not going to find those that often. And why do you need these elements? Is so that you can play your cards. And so that's where this dice and cards comes in seasons. You have these power cards. Power cards cost elements, so you're going to have these little chits that match those seasonal elements, and you're going to pay for them, but you're also going to receive other kinds of benefits on those power cards. You have 9 to begin with in the game, and you're going to set aside 3 for age 2 and then 3 for age 3, and so the game is done in three ages essentially. So you start with 3 and then you're like, oh, I'm planning on getting these done later and then these done. So there's really nice strategy that goes with setting aside your power cards in the beginning, and that kind of makes this game really great for gamers who maybe want to mitigate some of the dice rolling. The dice rolling as well, it's a drafting mechanic, which is wonderful. One person's going to roll the dice. There's always one more than the amount of players playing. And then they draft one by one what die you want based on what is showing on the side. This game is really interesting. The artwork is brilliant on the cards. It's very colorful and active and engaging. Seasons, blends the dice and the cards really, really well. And I think that's what makes this game so popular with gamers. Dead of Winter. This game is so fun because of the theme. What? Yeah, this is a zombie game. And it's actually a semi-cooperative game. And I kind of like that because everyone's working together to meet the objective. There's a main objective that you are trying to accomplish. But you have secret objectives. Every person is dealt a secret, and they have a different win condition if they do certain things. And so when people are trying to collectively help out the team during the game, one person keeps saying, "Oh, I don't have any fuel." Can you trust them? Do they not have any fuel? Or are they hoarding their fuel cards because that's what their secret is? It's fun. It's so fun. Some of the other things about this game that qualify it for my card game and dice game is that you have dice that you roll in your turn for your actions, and those dice will let you do a variety of things. Also, there is another die called the exposure die. And that die you roll when you go outside, and you might get frostbite and you might die. You might get some wounds and it might be your last wound and it just does you in. And then other times you make it from place to place and there's nothing that happens. But it's this risk, and I love that exposure die. I think that actually is really what makes the game exciting. The other actions that you do seem very in line with a zombie themed game, and the theme is just super, super high. It works really well. You're gonna make noise. And then there's this little noise, it's like an ear, and it's just like, did the zombie hear me? I think the zombie heard me. And then zombies are gonna start shambling in, and you can obviously fight zombies, you can clean them out of your home area, you can look for goods and resources and weapons. It's so delicious how all of it comes together with the actions and the dice, but also with the actions that come on your cards and that come on your player card as well. So a really, really lovely balance of card and dice in this game, and the reason why it's higher up on my list is because I would sit down and play this game right now. I think it's fun, and I think you have a really great time playing it with your friends, particularly if one person betrays you at the end, and it's just exciting. And I am a huge, huge zombie lover in literature and in film and in board game. Memoir 44. I would be remiss if I did not include Memoir 44 on my list, and it does make it to the top because I have a personal emotional connection to this game. This was after Lost Cities, the next game that my husband introduced me to when we first met, and we played through scenario after scenario. He calls it our summer of memoir, and it is a wonderful two-player battle game, and it includes dice and cards as your strategy and tactics maneuvers. That's the heart of Memoir 44, and you have cards that you play. They are command cards. So on your turn, you are going to play a command card, order which units you want to move. You have a left flank, a right flank, and a center flank. Then you're going to move those units, and then you will fight. Strategically placing your troops where you think you're going to have the best offense, or in some cases the best defense. This game is really intense, but it's so good. Once you get into the battle phase, you're going to start rolling dice. The dice are wholly unique. The dice will tell you if you hit with a grenade, if you hit with your tanks, if you hit with your infantry, if you have a flag that makes them retreat. The outcomes are not set. So sure, you can play your cards and you can mobilize as best as possible, but the dice are going to ultimately play with the game in more of a luck fashion, but it doesn't overwhelm the game with luck. It works in a sense that it makes it feel more real, because there are things that you cannot plan for. The dice give you that feeling of, I'm doing the best I can, I'm going to move up here on the left, I'm going to pinch them in on the right, and then in case things go wrong, I have my center troops coming up as backup. And the dice tell you what that outcome is for that particular skirmish. It's a brilliant game, and you should play every scenario in the entire box. Discoveries is my number one. I love this game, and nobody will play it with me. I love it so much. It is a beautiful, beautiful game, by the way. So few components that make for such a complex and interesting game. Player interaction with the dice. You can actually take other people's dice. It's just so wonderfully designed. I love Discoveries, and I do have permission to say the reason why my husband won't play with me is because I, quote, crush him. I want to play this game every day. So it has such a wonderful blend of cards and dice. What you do on your turn is you take your dice and you roll them, and then you have them in your player area. Once you've rolled your dice and put them in your player area, what you do on your next turn is you play dice, but you can only play one side. And each side of the die has a different symbol that lets you place your dice in particular areas. They give you actions. It lets you take cards from the board. It lets you finish journeys that you have on your own personal player area where you're traveling through rivers and mountains. It lets you activate other particular bonuses on your player area. The cards are double-sided, which I think is a great use of the components. On one side you have the American Indians and their bonuses, and on the other side you have the journey and travel cards, and those are going to give you victory points. When you've run out of dice and you need more dice, you go to the central board, and there are two sections, one that has half of the dice symbols and the other that has the other half. You're allowed to collect all of the dice that are in one side or the other. That could include neutral dice that are the gray dice. Those are the American Indian dice. You can collect dice that belong to any other player and yours. And you just take them all, you roll them, and you put them in your player area. And from that point on, you can play with those dice. There is a risk, though, that if one player collects their colored dice, which is the other option that you can do, they will take the dice that are active in your pool. They can take those away from you. There's a really great bonus action that can happen on your turn that can trigger really awesome moves that make everyone jealous of you. And if you can do this, this is how you win the game, by the way. If you can successfully complete a journey card on your own, a discovery, and you have enough river and mountains to complete one that's in the display area, you can complete that one as well. If you complete 2 discoveries on your turn, you get to have an entire next free turn. You get to go again, essentially. And that's where I think the game is at. If you can make it to where you have 1, 2, or 3 of those per game, you've won the game. That's kind of how I win the game. You just watched my top 5. If you'd like to put your top 5 in the comments below, I will happily read those. Thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.